Hey guys, this is Adam Carswell, and today I'm joined by Rob Beardsley. Rob is the founder of Lone Star Capital. He was born and raised in Atherton, California, went to Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, which is cool. It's not too far from where I went to school. And now, we should say, kind of lives in New York, Manhattan. He's calling in from San Jose, California today, but he does live in Manhattan. And really cool background coming your way here, guys. But before I do that, Rob, just want to flip it over to you real quick. Thank you for coming on the show. And do you have any opening remarks for my listeners?
Thanks for having me and real excited to discuss this topic. I think it's a unique one.
Yeah. So, guys, before we get into the topic of today's discussion, I first met Rob when he presented to. So, I mention this on the show all the time. There's a group that Hunter Thompson and I teach at ASIM Capital. It's called the Cash Flow Connections Mentorship Program. And anyone who goes through the program has access to networking calls that we do within our community. And one of the recent networking calls that we did, we had Rob come on and speak a little bit about his book, which we're going to talk about here today. He did an entire underwriting presentation with us, and it was just a great all around experience. So got to connect with Rob that way, kept in touch, started noticing on LinkedIn. Not only was he beginning to create a name for himself, come across as really a thought leader, but Rob, I didn't tell you this yet. I mean, you're putting together like some high quality production videos too. Like, I'm not sure who your camera guy is, but like that's a nice camera and a cool setup that you've got going on. So actually, probably going to talk about that a little bit here today. But this is, guys, this is the story piece right here. I don't know how deep down this rabbit hole we'll go today, but I'm talking to Rob. I'm like, yeah, so like, when did you graduate from college or whatever? And he starts telling me, and long story short, I think you said you were going to graduate between 2018 and 2020. Ended up just saying, forget it. Like, you got your business up and running. And I, my mind was just blown because I'm thinking this whole time since getting to know Rob, he was at least my age. I didn't know he's 23. Guys, I'm 29. So it's going to be really interesting to hear his take on what he's doing today. And, really, I would just say all around inspiring. So, Rob, flip it back to you here real quick. Could you kind of fill in the blanks on that backstory? Being college, being in university, sounds like you were following the traditional path, and then you found yourself in a situation where it was just like, whoa, I can do my own thing right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it kind of goes to my DNA of always wanting to be highly purpose driven, and I never like to do things for the sake of it or just to pass the time. So uh, basically growing up, I always played football very competitively, and it was my goal to be recruited to play football. I eventually was recruited to play football at Carnegie Mellon, but when I arrived, I just realized that it was a D3 football program, and there was so much more to the college experience, and I couldn't see myself committing that much passion, time, and effort to something that at the end of the day wasn't going to be really furthering my purpose. It felt that football had ran its course. And so, pretty much right as I stepped foot on campus, I quit what was my identity. I was a football player, and that's who I was. So a piece of my identity died, during that period. And so then I was in a period of, finding the next purpose and going deeper down the layers. And so, like you said, followed the traditional path, did well in high school, went to, a good school studying computer science
Right. Yeah.
and,
Let's keep in mind, CMU is not easy to get into.
right. So, coming from Silicon Valley where it's very tech focused, going to a great school for engineering and computer science and, thinking that I would exit and go, potentially back to Silicon Valley and take a tech job at one of the big tech firms or, a consulting gig. But again, it goes back to that purpose and, why am I doing what I'm doing? And, I was always passionate about investing. And so in my free time at school, I just circled back to investing and whether that be stocks, real estate. I just started going down rabbit holes of research. And, to fill in more gaps of the story, my family have a real estate background for 30 years. So I grew up in a real estate family. Both my parents worked from home. So I just overheard them on the phone making deals all day long. So I really absorbed a lot of real estate knowledge. And, whether I knew it or not, I was kind of immersed in real estate from the beginning. So in college, I circled back to it, started researching, pursuing, building the network, as I think is so important. And like you said, finally felt that, I was kind of doing both at once, school and running my business. And then the business became so time consuming and felt like such a strong opportunity that I thought, well, I mean, this is a no brainer risk to take. If I fail, I could just go back to school and become a kid again. But here's my chance to go and succeed at something and really push on this purpose slash passion.
Right. And as you mentioned, so you grew up in a real estate environment, which, sounds like certainly helped and paid off. But, I'm sure there's another listener out there, probably similar to your shoes, but maybe didn't grow up with a real estate background, that is starting to realize like, whoa, I can start my own business now. Sounds like real estate might be a good avenue if someone like Rob can pull it off. How do I get started and how do I position myself to do the same thing? What would be your answer to someone who's in a university out there right now?
Yeah, it's definitely not rocket science. So it's all about networking, like I mentioned. Really, I think, and as cliche as that sounds, it's the truth because networking both brings you the relationships that are an absolute must, but it also brings you a lot of knowledge quickly, especially if you're willing to be honest, transparent with people and ask questions when you don't know something, right? A lot of people want to pretend they know everything, then they don't learn anything. And so I think networking is a very powerful aspect. So, when I was in school, I started hosting just, meetups, and I would, reach out to people on Bigger Pockets, meetups.com. I would just start getting involved in that space and then attending conferences across the country. So, really just trying to meet all the players and learn as quickly as I could.
I love it. I love it. All right. So speaking of meeting all the players, guys, Rob authored a book that Hunter highly endorses, which is it's not easy to get that endorsement. I'll tell you that right now. So we're going to start talking about that here now. It's time to shift gears. It is now time to step into the next level chamber. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. The topic of today's discussion is how to author a book that quenches the thirst of your niche. And I say that because Rob's book was very focused. It was very niche driven, as far as I could see. You can help us clarify here a little bit today, Rob. But it revolves around the world of underwriting, and it's a really the word I'm looking for here is, but basically, a lot of people are starting to model after how Rob has explained what he does in his book. So, Rob, if you could share with us, first of all, let's just get it in here, where anyone listening can go to get a copy of the book. And we're going to plug this probably a few times throughout the interview, but just want to make sure we get it out there first, and then we'll start talking about where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, so you can check out the book on Amazon. The book is called The Definitive Guide to Underwriting Multifamily Acquisitions. If you just type in multifamily underwriting, that should also bring it right up. So, yeah, Amazon's the best way to go.
Well, there you go. The Definitive Guide to Underwriting Multifamily Acquisitions. Got it. Type that in on Amazon, guys. So, as I mentioned, inspiration. Where did the idea at age 23 come? Where you're like, what, I'm going to write a book. Where did that come from? I mean, I'm 29. I still haven't written my first book yet, so I want to hear it.
Yeah, so really, when I started out in the multifamily business, I gravitated to the underwriting side of the business because I'm very analytical, kind of that computer science background. And so, very numbers driven. So the underwriting is what I was attracted to initially. And as I was learning underwriting and trying to understand the business better, I looked around for resources, whether that be, models to download, books to read, articles, videos, and I just didn't really find anything that, you know, hit on exactly what I was looking to learn. And so when I went through that process, I told myself, well, once you figure this out, you're going to write a book that's going to lay it all out in plain English and break down every single detail. I was very surprised to not to see that that book didn't already exist, right? It's such a simple, straightforward book, yet such a big void in the business. And I think there's a few reasons for that. I think some people are, nervous and don't really actually want to put all their cards on the table and show you exactly how they underwrite and what they're thinking because, hey, maybe one of your assumptions or one of the ways that you're thinking about something is wrong, or, you just don't want to put yourself up to that scrutiny. So I think there's definitely that angle. And then the other angle would be the piece of, secret sauce. Some people think that underwriting, there's a magic to it, and that they've got their secret sauce. I'm here to tell you, I do not believe in that at all. I think anybody can become proficient at underwriting in, less than 6 months. And one of the big reasons why I wrote the book is I saw the biggest mistake a lot of people were making with underwriting is they simply were not underwriting.
Mm.
Especially on the passive investor side. Passive investor looks at a shiny pitch deck and says, okay, I'm in. And I thought that was wrong. And, I encourage every passive investor that I speak with to say, hey, you should have some underwriting process in place. It doesn't have to be as detailed as a sponsor, but it should be some process.
Yeah, and I think so that that says a lot right there because at first glance it sounds like the book might be for someone who's on the active side or someone who's looking to improve their underwriting skills. Yeah, on that side of the business, but the passive investor side is very important too. It's reverse engineering your experience to make sure you make the right choice. So, I mean, what has that been like for you now? Are you seeing who's buying the book? Who's kind of like the number one person going with Rob
Definitely
Beardsley?
sponsors. Yeah,
Okay.
sponsors are absolutely buying the book, and I think the free model that I give out is highly complimentary. And to plug that real quick, if you want to learn more about that, head to robbeardsley.me, and there you can get a free download of my underwriting model that I use in our business every single day to analyze properties. So a lot of sponsors, especially if they're getting started, right? The book plus that model is just such an amazing way for them to just dive right into the business, start underwriting deals today, and really have the confidence that they're doing it right, because the spreadsheet is nothing without the knowledge of application.
Yeah. What do you think was like? I know you kind of mentioned you were looking in the marketplace and you realized like, whoa, there's nothing to meet this need right now. Um, what are some other key things to pay attention to when authoring a book uh, that really zone in on the niche? Because I think a lot of our listeners are similar to myself. Someone who wants to author a book and wants to make an impact, but sometimes it's like, man, I don't know where to start. How do I identify that vacancy in the first place? What was something that you did to help find that?
Yeah, I think I got pretty lucky there. I mean, that's a pretty big vacancy, like you said. But I really like the way that you phrase it or put it with, in terms of the niche, right? I This kind of happened to me on accident, but I think this is the best way to go. And you can see examples of this throughout many businesses and thought leaderships, where a topic or a person will start very specific, and then as they grow their following, as they grow their brand and create more content, their content can then get more and more general and apply to a larger audience, right? It's hard to kind of catch fire if you're just going to write a general book, but if you do go really specific, I think that's going to have a better chance of catching fire and being a success. And then the next book you write or piece of content you put out could be a little more broad. And that's kind of what I have in my head now. And now that's my plan. Multifamily underwriting, that's a pretty narrow scope. And um, the next book I write, I'm planning to be on a broader topic, and hopefully I can make the book more successful in terms of the reach it has and whatnot. But I think it would be a mistake for me just to want to go and write that New York Times bestseller right off the bat, and apply to every single person in the world.
Right. And yeah, from what I recall, I mean, the book is pretty straightforward, pretty simple too. It's not like a Harry Potter type of read, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm always a no fluff guy, and if it can be said in 100 pages, then it should only be 100 pages, and so that's what I did.
Is it kind of so now I'm hearing because you're talking about your next book, which definitely we'll all keep on the radar now. Is authoring a book kind of like getting a tattoo? Like once you get one, once you do one, you just want to get more?
It is. It's a very nice process, because you get the final product, which you can be very proud of, and it's tangible, and it's kind of like investing, right? You put in the work, and then you can reap the rewards ongoing, while you sleep. I'm selling books while I sleep. I mean, obviously, the money that I'm making off book sales is inconsequential to me, but the value is, I'm building relationships while I sleep. I'm growing my network while I sleep, and so I think that's fantastic about a book.
Going more to the thought leadership perspective now, too, what do you see on the horizon for yourself outside of I guess, book publishing? Because as I mentioned, you're doing a lot more with video now. I'm not sure, apologies if I missed this, but I wouldn't be surprised if you already have a podcast or getting ready to launch one. Give some advice for people out there who are just starting their thought leadership adventure too, and share kind of like what you're seeing as successful.
Yeah, so thought leadership is something that I honestly resisted for a long time. I thought, that doesn't sound, people already have podcasts and people have already, made the videos. Why do I need to do that? And I felt that I could just, essentially shortcut that process and, I don't know, somehow be successful without it. But I've really come to understand that it's such a huge just factor for success and to supercharge to get there faster. And so the advice that I would give for thought leadership is starting with one thing and building that up, getting proficient at that, and then slowly adding things on. So the way that I started was monthly newsletter, which is where I would spend time and I would write an article, and hopefully it was a good article, and it wasn't really meant to just kind of be pumping out content. It was more thoughtful on a monthly basis, and so started just with the articles and then slowly started adding on more things. I started becoming a guest on podcasts, and then now I've more recently started my own podcast, which has been a lot of fun. And then also doing the videos, which I think just in terms of social media like LinkedIn and Facebook, they get great engagement. So I think videos, are better than articles and all that good stuff. So yeah, just slowly adding on all the different layers.
And we're going to take a moment here to plug the product one more time. So actually, first you said people can go check out your website, which is robertbeardsley.me. The name of the book is Definitive. Help me out.
Yeah, so the website, my personal website where you could pretty much find out about my podcast, the book,
Okay,
articles,
cool. It's all
everything
there.
is robbeardsley.me. We've got free giveaways there. I recently wrote an ebook called the Preferred Equity Manifesto. So that's totally free. And then also the model that we discussed is free. And then on Amazon, you can go ahead and buy the definitive guide to underwriting multifamily acquisitions.
There we go. Cool. So one more question for you here, and then get ready to close it out. As far as what you're working on in your world right now, we're getting near the end of 2020 here. I think this will go live just before the new year. So entering into 2021, who are you looking to network with? Who do you want this interview? What ears do you want this interview to land on? And how can they work with you?
Yeah, I'm always looking to network with other sponsors. We have multiple ways in our business that we can partner with sponsors. So we're looking to meet more sponsors. We're looking to always grow our relationships with capital providers, whether that be, more of a retail investor or a family office or an opportunity fund. So we work with diverse pools of capital. Um, and I'd say that's pretty much it.
What type of asset classes are you mostly interested in right now?
For now, we're just focused on multifamily. So on the acquisition side, we focus on Texas garden style multifamily. And then on the preferred equity side, where we're providing preferred equity to other multifamily sponsors, we're more geographically flexible because in a preferred equity position, we're just essentially partnering and providing the capital, but we don't have day-to-day management responsibility. So that's why we're more flexible on the market there.
Cool. Love it. All right, Rob. Well, this has been great. I say this often on the show, but I mean, I definitely feel like I could interview you for another 30 minutes if we had to do it, but we're gonna gonna cap it here soon. Real quick though, if you could give a shout out to one person you've never given a shout out to before, who would that one person be?
Well, this is easy for me because I don't give shout outs all the time. So there's a lot of people that I haven't shouted out. But I think it makes sense for me to shout out my business partner, Kent Petrikowski. We both founded Lone Star Capital about 3 years ago. And, it's definitely like everyone's journey has been interesting. And now we're dealing with COVID today and all this and that. So, but yeah, we've never had an argument. And I think, that's probably rare for any relationship, let alone a business relationship where there's a lot of stress, a lot of action. So I'm very thankful.
Awesome. Shout out to Kent. Where is he at right now? Is he in New York? Is he in Cali?
New York.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah, guys, make sure you go check out Lone Star Capital Group. I guess we'll have anyone listening, one, check out your Lone Star website. We'll get one last plug here for your website in the book. And then outside of that, is there a preferred way to contact you?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me directly for anything, feel free to email me, rob@lonestarcapgroup.com. The Lone Star website is the same as email, lonestarcapgroup.com. And again, the personal website with kind of your home base for everything is robbeardsley.me. And check out the book on Amazon, The Definitive Guide to Underwriting Multifamily Acquisitions.
Boom. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone who's listening right now. I hope whether you're 23 or 53, you found value in Rob and what he's doing and provided you some inspiration. I know for me, as I've kind of joked on the show now, I gotta start working on my book. He's ahead of me right now. So, Rob, any closing remarks? This has been great.
No, that's it. I mean, I think, the topic was writing a book to
Yeah,
quench the thirst.
let me swing it back here for you. How to author a book that quenches the thirst of your niche. That's what you did.
I think, we could probably do definitely another few episodes on that topic and drill deeper. That's very interesting. And yeah, I can't wait to write the next one.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, make sure you go connect with Rob. Thank you for tuning in and investing your time with us here today on Dream Chasers, Interviews with the Future. We will catch you in the next episode. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.